Thank you very much, Lagos, for staying tuned. It's time for Lagos Talks 981. This is a Lagos Talk special, and today we're not going to be looking at a headline from the from Freshly Pressed earlier on. We're going to actually be taking a look and a focus on a particular subject. Before we go into that, my name is Ayo Mairo Ese,
And I'm Kylie Baker.
and together we're going to be moderating the conversation this morning with you, hopefully, as our respondents. We look forward to receiving your contributions to the topic of discussion this morning. The platforms to use for this morning is WhatsApp.
And Twitter, majorly. So please get your messages to us on WhatsApp and also on Twitter. Now, you know what to do. Reach out to us on 0809 444 0981. I'll say that slowly. 0809 444 0981. And on Twitter, use the hashtag Lagos Talks 981. Send your messages to Smooth981FM.
We're also streaming live on YouTube, so you can watch this particular one. We usually don't stream our Lagos Talk 981 segments, but for the specials we do. And today the focus is on drug abuse in Nigeria. To join us for this conversation, we have with us the Advocacy Coordinator, Freedom Foundation, in the person of Olusesan Osatimehin. Morning, Olusesan.
Smooth greetings to everybody out there.
Nice.
Thank you. That's great.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. Well, Olusesan has worked, the Freedom Foundation has worked extensively with people on substance abuse, helping to identify, rehabilitate, and gradually ease them back into society.
Empower and reintegration.
Empower and integration. Fantastic. And so that's why we thought it was important to bring you here this morning to give us a real idea of what's going on, particularly with drug abuse in Nigeria. Before I go, before Kaide and I go on to asking you the questions, we'd like to just state a few facts around drug abuse in Nigeria. And this is provided by the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. This report that was released in 2018 is actually endorsed by the former Federal Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Efadewale, yes, and the Statistician General of the Federation, Dr. Yemi Kale. Yes. Some staggering statistics here, some staggering information that has raised concern amongst many bodies, including the Nigeria Academy of Pharmacy. One of which is that 14.4 million Nigerians are currently on drugs.
True.
Out of those 14.4 million, 1 in 4 of those are women.
Yes, true.
Also, the statistics we have before us by the United Nations state that it's now the age at which people start, the common age for starting out has reduced. So it's now 7 years old. So children in primary school are more also
they're not left out anymore.
Yeah, they're not left out anymore. They're using drugs more from this particular report. But Olusesan, I'd like you to give us a true picture of what's going on ground. I know off air when we're speaking, we're talking about the fact that it also depends on regions, and different areas have different challenges. Can you just give us a quick snapshot, please?
Okay. There's this report by United Nations Office on Drug and Crime, drug use in Nigeria. If you can get it online, you can download it, and it gave breakdown from states and regions of the federation, how this drug distribution, the use is. And in all, Southwest is the leading state or region of all drugs. When we put all the drugs that have been carried, there's a statistic that was carried out, and there are certain drugs that were put together. So all these drugs, if you look at them all, Southwest is the leading. As against the question you were asking me behind the scene the other time, like, oh, you thought it was the
North.
The North. But that is just because it was narrowed down to codeine as at that time. But now when we're looking at drugs of all, illicit activities.
Okay.
A lot of question or frequently asked question has been, why do people do drugs?
Yes, that was my next question.
And we cannot say this is a particular reason why everybody do drugs. There are different factors that causes people to do drugs. So what will trigger you to doing drug might be different from what will trigger Ola or myself. So one of it which is, I will put that as priority, is parenting. Poor parenting skill.
Okay.
Because most of these children come from a home and they look at certain people at home You see what daddy do. Now, if daddy is an alcoholic, the odd of the child doing drug is high. Now, if mom to do alcohol, there's possibility that the child will also do, and yet there's also possibility that the child will not do drugs. So that's there. Now, there are some people who use drug for recreation. I just want to take it because I feel like, okay, let me check what's all about. Some people use it to enhance their performance. Oh, I'm an athlete, I want to I'm nervous, and then I just need something to clear my head so that I can concentrate and do something. Some people do that to, just to perform. So there's so many reasons. There's now the peer influence.
Yes.
My friends are doing it, and then they look cool. Let me give it a shot. And also social media, music videos makes this look permits me to use the word sexy, to
Looks appealing.
appealing.
Yes.
Okay.
This is what is going on. This is the way it is. And there are certain movies you watch, your actor
So social media
hero.
glorifies it.
Yes.
Makes it looks nice. And then we don't music videos, recent music videos. We also see some movies as well.
Yes.
We see celebrities who also misuse and make it look cool. So people look at this and think that it is the right thing to do.
True.
All right. Okay.
Okay, Lagos. Well, we're about to hit a new break, but before we go on that break, don't forget one more time, just get your messages. We see some of them coming in already. Send them to 0809-444-0981. Our very special guest in the house today is Olusesan Osatimehin from he's the advocacy coordinator from Freedom Foundation, and we're talking all about drugs this morning. We're talking about drug abuse in Nigeria in particular.
My name is Ohu
Sorry? No, it's okay. Okay, so we've established
Sorry,
that
I
now.
was not meant to use the word right.
No, it's all right.
Okay.
I mean, thankfully was
I found
it's
a word that would
appealing.
suit.
Yeah, just appealing.
Okay.
But so I wanted us to set. I'm glad we talked about the reasons because I wanted to look at the reason, and I'd like for us to talk about it a bit more.
No, we'll still go into that.
So very shortly, because there's still a lot. Maybe just talk on it for like 3 minutes more, so that we can then look. I know we want to talk about the pillars of rehabilitation, tramadol distribution process. Let me give us those notes for
last week.
changing the narrative, addicts and nice people. So we want
Also,
to
what
make
the
it-
NDLA is doing about it as well.
Yeah.
so
Funny
it's
enough,
eventually-
NDLA wanted to follow me that day but because of the rain and the traffic, we were just
that
head
would
back.
be so fantastic.
Because the guy was with me at the other station, so we were
Alright, back
together.
now.
You need him to move either here or all the way because I can't see you.
Okay, use that mic.
So please come here. So I
Already?
can see you on video. Thank you.
Sorry.
All right, welcome back, Lagos. If you just joined us, well, you're listening to Lagos Talks 981 with Ayo Mairo Ese and Kaide Baker.
Yes, it's a Lagos Talk special here. We're streaming live on YouTube, so please go on there and you can send in your contributions as well through the live chat option. This morning, we're looking at drug abuse in Nigeria. You can also follow us on Twitter, please. You can follow us there and send in your contributions as well. We are at Smooth981FM on Twitter. Use the hashtag Lagos Talks 981, and on WhatsApp, you can send in your questions, or perhaps you want to react to what we're talking about this morning. You can send to 0809 444 0981. We have with us in the studio Olusesan Osatimehin, Advocacy Coordinator at Freedom Foundation. Spotlight drug abuse in Nigeria. Before the break, we shared a few statistics, staggering and on survey from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, which was released in 2018. We looked at the fact that 14.4 million Nigerians are said to be currently on drugs. Out of those drug users, 1 in 4 are said to be women, and the average age is said to be 7 years old, meaning that more children in primary schools have gotten into the abuse of drugs. We shared that, and before we went on that break, Olusesan, you were sharing with us some of the reasons or triggers of drug abuse, why young people in particular, would resort to drug abuse. You mentioned a few thoughts. Could you shed more light on that, please?
Okay, like I said, parenting. When a lot of research has gone into that, and it has been established that good parenting skills
Mm.
is far stronger than peer influence and peer pressure.
Okay.
When you have a good skill of parenting, like one of my mentor will say, anybody can father a child,
Mhm.
but not everybody can be a daddy.
Mhm.
And when you have the skill of parenting, your child will naturally know certain rules and regulations. They might not be written, they might not be formally communicated, but they know the rule, they know the standard of the home, and they do carry them out.
Mhm.
Now, a child will look at the lifestyle of a family and then say, if my parents, or this is not what we do in this family, this is not our culture. At a point in Nigeria, there was this advert we used to have, it is not in our culture. If that is not the culture, most of them naturally will not want to go into it.
All right.
And then part of it is communication. Now, parent-child communication, that is one major issue we have in this part of the world. We no longer have time for our children. We no longer have time to, communicate with them, to know what they are going through. I had to attend to a client of mine some time ago, and she said, each time I want to tell my mom about my problem, all she does is to give me money to buy things. When I talk to my father, he takes me out, buy things for me, shopping, and maybe malls to watch movies. It goes beyond that. Yes, these are part of what we should do as parents, but there are other things that is required. These children need emotional umbrella and covering. Now, if that is missing, they will sort for that outside.
Okay.
And if they don't get it from the right place, they will get it
They'll
from
get
the wrong
outside.
place.
So you also, in addition to parenting, you talked about peer influence.
Peer influence.
Talked
And
about
social media.
And
yes,
social media,
media,
yes.
celebrities, influencers. So whether the new fad is that celebrities will say, well, I didn't ask to be your role model, but whether we like it or not, children don't wait for you to tell them that I'm a role model. They just look up to you. They
True.
see that you're in the limelight or that you're put on a pedestal.
Yes.
So thanks a lot for clearing that. Now let's get to the meat of the conversation, and that is, drug abuse. And number one, I would like to ask, what's the most commonly abused drug in Nigeria?
Cannabis.
Cannabis.
Yes.
All right. Okay. And how about availability? Yeah, that's one area we didn't talk about with regards to how available these drugs are, as to why it's encouraging or enticing for people to go into or to use them.
Okay, the other time I was talking about factors why people do drugs.
Yes.
Also, availability and affordability also plays important role.
Okay.
Now, cannabis is everywhere.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, we call it Igbo,
Marijuana.
Indian name, depending on, though Indians say we should stop calling it Indian.
Okay. So
Anyway, but it's everywhere, and is one of the cheapest you can get,
okay.
because with 50 naira you get a wrap.
50 naira.
Yes, so you get a wrap. Now it's cheap, it is affordable, it is available, sorry, and that plays an important role. That's why it's everywhere. Just like alcohol, at some point, it's not in the 60s, it used to be in big bottles, jars that they bring into Nigeria. After a while, it became a little smaller and it's accessible. Now you have it in sachet. So it's everywhere. Even children can have access to it.
accessible
With
to
50
people.
naira, you get a sachet of all this alcohol. And then, so the price and then the price will determine the accessibility. So it's everywhere. That's why people get it. Another part of it is the feeling people get when they take all these drugs cause some people to go for them. Some will take it and tell you, I don't like the feeling, so let me take something else. And some will get it and then, oh, I love the feeling. So these are, continuation. So cannabis is everywhere and it's cheap.
How about those ones that are medically prescribed? And for example, we've talked about tramadol off air. We noticed that a certain region in Nigeria are mostly the ones that are pegged to, abuse it the most. How about those type of drugs that are prescribed by, pharmacists and even doctors?
Okay. Now, we need to clarify certain things on this tramadol issue.
Okay.
Now, Pharmacy Council of Nigeria and NDLEA, they are trying their best to the best of their ability with the capacity they have and resources available to them to NAFDAC to clamp down on people that are selling illicitly.
Okay.
but a research was carried out in Africa and most especially West Africa on the distribution channel of tramadol. Now, when I say West Africa, Nigeria and some other West
Yeah,
African countries
Ghana.
are the major focus. And it was discovered that the on approved cannabis, tramadol, that's 225 gram, does not even go through the route of pharmacy or local traditional outlets.
Okay.
So some people bring it because we have porous border. They bring it. The standard of tramadol you should have should be maximum of 100. Now you have 225. So that automatically it is not the one approved by NAFDAC and licensed by Pharmacy Council of Nigeria. So that means it's coming from another route. So you have to take 100 to get 1,000 gram of the normal prescribed one.
Yes.
Okay.
But these ones are 225 and above.
So you take
So
5 of those.
Five
you're
of
okay.
those, you get the feel. So we need to also look at it from these two angles. Those ones that are bringing it from the wrong route, and then we have the ones that people are addicted to based on the prescription. So those are, and that people have not really been informed about that. I'm talking of the illegal importation of this 225 gram and above.
By the way, I think it's important for us to mention that tramadol is a painkiller.
Yes,
it's meant to be. So it's used in medicine. It's not.
And it's not all kind of pain.
Yes.
It's specific for certain pains.
Yes.
Not just, I have a headache, and it must be a particular degree of pain before you are given.
Just so we know that, so the abuse of it is where the problem is.
Yes.
So in itself, it's not a bad drug as long as it is prescribed by a doctor, so that it's measured and it's appropriate to the level of pain.
Just as codeine is also not bad.
Yes, in itself.
The illicit use of it,
yes,
it's now the bad part of
the abuse of it. All right, let's move. Since we've set that foundation around drugs, let's look at interventions. So we know that there's a campaign ongoing by the Nigerian Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, and of course by Freedom Foundation in itself. You have a model that you work with, and beyond preventing access to these drugs or to these substances, beyond taking them in and treating those who are already abusing drugs, there's a rehabilitation process and a reintroduction into society for them to integrate. So let's talk about what is being done. What are the practical steps? Since we have such a big problem on our hands in Nigeria, what is being done by the government and then by organizations such as yours?
Okay, for any intervention on drug use disorder to be successful, there are 3 pillars we have to look at.
Okay.
We have the supply, now in no particular order: supply reduction, demand reduction, and harm reduction.
Okay.
Now, supply reduction is what NDLE is working on. You go to the airport, look out for people that are trafficking, the way it's coming into Nigeria, or you go to farms where they are being produced and destroy them. There are so many places, like there was a time they destroyed over 5,000 acres of land somewhere in southwest of cannabis. Now, between 2011 to 2017, they busted about 12 clandestine methamphetamine labs in Nigeria. Now, the issue we have is Nigeria used to be a transit point or route, moving it around. Now we became a consumer nation. Now we are producing nation. So now we have amphetamine in Nigeria. Not that it's been brought anymore, but they come to Nigeria to produce amphetamine. So we have supply reduction. So if it's not coming to Nigeria, then we will not have issues. But when it is coming to Nigeria, what is the next thing? What is the pragmatic step to take? Then we'll go into demand reduction. So this is where your training, your sensitization comes in. Part of what we are doing is also demand reduction, because we are giving people information so that they can make informed choices. So you need to know what the implication of taking drugs are, what are the options available if you are now into drugs.
Mm.
You know, you get all this information. And the next one is, okay, the drug is in the country, people are taking drugs, because the first one is to delay in, I mean,
Supply,
the second
supply
one,
reduction,
yeah,
then
then
demand reduction.
reduction is to delay initiation of drug use.
Okay.
Now people are already using drugs, so what's the way forward? What do? We have what we call the harm reduction. Harm reduction is as old as human being. You know, you're on bike, you're asked to use helmet, you're in your car, you have to use your seat belt. All this is just to reduce the danger of drug use, you know, to the body. So what is harm reduction? Harm reduction are program set of activities put together to help a person that have drug use disorder, so that they will become functional individual. For people who are using opioid, there's what we call opioid substitution therapy. You know, like a person that is using heroin, there's a substitution that you give to him, so he'll be able to at least be functional to himself, to the society, and the family. So these are the three pillars of intervention that are humane and pragmatic.
But you mentioned opioids now. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if the opioids are also, could that not also be seen as a form of, you know, another type of?
That's the thing. If you are doing substitution,
Yes.
you don't give it to them to take home.
Okay.
They come to a center to take the substitution medications, and it's only meant for a period of time.
All right.
What happens is, when you take certain opioid, maximum of 6 hours, it wears out. So you need more. But when you use this substitution, it wears out in 24 hours.
Okay.
So you still have 24 hours to become functional and do what you need to do. If you go to your place of work, do your normal day business and activities, then you go back the next day to get the substitution. It's just once a day, and then you go back to your daily activity until you are able to wean off heroin, and then gradually we start reducing this other medication until you become functional. Now, some people, the main purpose of harm reduction is not totally to get you off drugs. Some people just want to be on it to be functional, and some want to go off. So we want to balance the two. For those who want to go off completely, we work with them through that process. And for those who just want to be functional users, you know, we work with them.
All right. Thank you very much indeed. Now let's we have a number of case studies, and there was one that went viral. A number of people saw the video. We will try to get the video up on our Twitter handle at Smooth91FM, so please watch out for that, and possibly on our WhatsApp platform as well. The story of Lizzie, that was very popular. A lot of people saw that video. It was a young girl, 26-year-old girl, who was rescued from 7 years cocaine addiction by Freedom Foundation. She was picked off from her brothel, and she talked about how she had to do certain jobs to fund this lifestyle. Can you shed more light on that? And I'm using Lizzie as a case study because there are many Lizzies in society today, or there are many potential Lizzies in society today, and perhaps we can learn a lesson or two from that particular incident, and how, I mean, her recovery has been termed as miraculous. So please tell us a little bit about Lizzie.
Okay, Lizzie is a young lady who, she's got potential. Now, everybody, we all have our potential. And one of the outreaches, her case, you know, came up, and she needed help. She was profiled like almost instantly, to know that, because some people will tell you they need help, but you know, they just tell you they need help, they don't really need help. From this
so I take out from that is the first step to getting is to admit and to seek for help.
Yeah, there are three A's. We have the awareness. You are aware that you have drug use problem.
Okay.
After being aware, then you have accepted that drug is in control of your life. You're no longer in control. It's like you move from the driver's seat, and then the drug is at the driver's corner, and you no longer have control. And the third one is action. What's action? You want to look for help, call out for help, look for places you can get this help. Now, these three A's, Lizzie went through. She knew that she's got drug problems. She's no longer in control of her life. And then when our team was on field, she called that she needed help. Now, it just does not happen in a day. We keep going to the community. We want to see if that momentum is sustained. Because some people will just tell you, oh, I need help. And then you get there the next day, you want to help them out. They said, you know what? I'm no longer interested. Now, with this data statistics, there's a portion of it that says the total number of people who need help, total number of people who believe they need some help, and some who do not need. Now, we have larger population. I think about 37% of the respondents said they needed one form of help or another from drugs. So when her case, we noticed that she really needed help. That was when she was taken. Now, this is just one of the so many people that we take out from the street to help. But you need to be willing, because if you are not willing, there's little to what we can do. We will only waste resources and time, because rehabilitation is expensive. We cannot afford to bring an unwilling person into the program. So when we discovered that, we brought her on board, and that has been what we've been doing over years for a particular project. They don't pay for it, but someone somewhere is paying.
Okay.
So but for them, it's free. And we have a rehab center where you have to pay. But for their case, there's a particular project we are running called the Ambassador Project. And now that is free for them. They are not paying, but someone somewhere is paying for them.
Right.
And so we have to carry it from the beginning to the end. So when she was taken, she was first taken into hospital where we had to detox her. That's where detoxing, we have to leave the body. Now it's called medically assisted detox. We are not going to do it the traditional way of cold turkey. So after that was done, and she was moved where she will now assess the therapy and further treatment. And that's the process of where she is. She's not through yet. She's still a work in progress. And I'm sure a lot of us, we've seen some of the videos of the transformation.
Yes.
But we are still ongoing.
So that's not even a full transformation.
No, that's
I think in terms of deterrent, that's another aspect to consider. The fact that if one does gets addicted, it's very expensive, very expensive to come out of it. So like you mentioned, a lot of people, and the effect of drugs is not just on the individual, but even people around, family members, friends, even the society as well. The nation, we lose,
and also the economy.
We lose a potential taxpayer. We lose a potential nation builder through the effects of drug abuse.
Lagos, let's go on a quick break. When we get back, we'll come with some more discussions. Basically, if you just joined the show, while we're having this discussion, we're talking all about drug abuse in Nigeria, and we welcome your contributions as well on WhatsApp, which is 0809-444-0981.
Hello everyone, this is your favorite Nigerian.
Excuse me. Thank you. Okay.
Previdus Bank, future forward banking.
This is what I was talking about. I'm not prevalent in Southwest.
Okay.
So you look at Southeast, so by the time you compare the two, you discover that Southwest is there.
Will you be potential taxpayer?
No, seriously. There's something I was almost saying. You know, drug is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Now, I was talking to one of my clients some years back, and he said, I am a lazy drug user, and I spend 5,000 naira per day on drugs. Wow. So 5,000 multiplied by 365.
Well, you have to say these things on air, though.
Yeah,
I was about to, but I didn't want to interject.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe you should put it out there.
Yeah. So, Kai, did you want to ask him about when we come back?
So you can just link it to the taxpayer.
That the loss to not just their family members, but to the nation, to the economy. So the next point we then talk about is the government, and legislation around this. Are you able to talk about that? Just touch on it like a little, yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
My name is Tunde. My name is Akara. My name is
You want to bring us back in?
No.
Welcome back, Lagos. If you just joined us, it's 33 minutes downside the hour of 9. This is Lagos Talks 981 with Ayo Mairo Ese.
And Kayode Baker.
And so far, so good. We've been having conversations all about drug abuse in Nigeria. And of course, we have a very special guest in the studio this morning, in person of Olusesan Osatimehin, Advocacy Coordinator, Freedom Foundation. Now, just before the break, we talked about the effects of drug abuse, to individuals in the society. I mean, we lose potential taxpayers to potential nation builders. And also, I mean, we've talked about the industry itself, how expensive it is, and how willing and unwilling people are in terms of rehabilitation. So, can you walk us through the process in terms of financing and addiction, and how the costs of what it costs, what it would cost a regular person when it comes to this addiction, how expensive it is, and how expensive it is also to take them away from such troubles?
Well, that's a big question. But I'll break it down. Addiction or drug use disorder is an expensive behavior. I'll just use two examples.
Okay.
One of my clients once, we were doing analysis, and he said, I am one of the lazy drug users because I spend 5,000 naira per day on drugs. So 5,000 multiplied by 365 naira. I mean days.
Okay, so 5,000, just very quickly, times 7, that's about 35,000.
Yes, that's for a week.
For a week. So in a month, that's roughly about, let's say, 140,000, if I'm correct.
Yes.
And multiply that I can't even.
We did an analysis. He was on drug for 10 years, so that was 180 something million naira.
Amazing.
And he by himself said, I have smoked mansions and jeeps. Now that is for a lazy user. Now someone will spend 20,000 a day, and some people will spend 100,000 a day. So we have the category of these people. We have they gave us that statistics themselves, and from our own little research at the joint, we noticed that we have category of users. And then again, the choice of drug determines the amount you spend per day.
Okay.
Now this guy spends 5,000 per day and only spend like maybe 100 naira to feed himself per day. I don't know if you're getting that.
I'm getting it.
So it's an expensive behavior.
Yes.
And they are also like bankers. They give themselves target, especially for those who are staying at the joint, at the bunk. Now your rent is your power to purchase drug. So the amount you buy per day is your payment for the rent to sleep at the joint. And when we say sleeping at the joint, it's not that there's one bed, it's just probably on the couch, not couch but bench.
Okay.
Or you sleep on the floor with all these carton papers placed there. So it's not really like you have a room to yourself. Now that's where they sleep, and your purchasing power will determine if you stay there or not. So if you have not been able to purchase for 2 days, then
so in effect, it's the drug dealers that actually house these people.
Yes, that's why they have bunks. So they are there to take the drugs. And there are some places you just go by and go home. Some places do not have bunk, but some places they have bunk. So deep far from one place to another. And that is how expensive it is. Now, you're talking about how expensive it is to rehabilitate. Now, bringing them out of the joint itself, it's not an easy thing, because we have to first work with the dealers. There are 3 categories. We have the peddlers,
Okay.
we have the dealers, then there are the barons. Now, the barons, you can't see those. You hardly see them.
Who are the barons? Are they people,
These are the big wigs that brings it into the country.
I was going to say, are they like good standing citizens in the country, in the nation? Are they, because many times the barons themselves don't take drugs. They just...
No, there is a code.
Okay.
Be it baron, peddler, or dealer, you do not take what you sell, because you get, hooked on it, then you're gone. You become a junkie.
All right.
So it's a code that you do not take.
So that's the
Drugs.
baron. The baron is the one who brings in the drugs.
Yes.
Then the
That's the big shot, the big guy.
mm,
And the
That you
peddlers are
can
the
never-
distributors.
And those ones are just the guys that sells it on the street and move it from like your, how do I put it now? You order online, and then the delivery guys, and those are the peddlers, so they just take it round. And
I have a question though. These joints now, are they publicly known to, I mean, society in general?
so many people know, but many people don't.
Okay, so another question is, if this is known to so many people, and maybe let's say the NDLEA as well, wouldn't an enforcement approach be advisable? To shut down such places and then find a way to rehabilitate the people that are found within those places.
Good. That has been the traditional method of NDLEA. Over years, they go to these joints and then arrest the users. But the dealer, the peddlers, they're nowhere to be found. And after a period of years, NDLEA discovered that there's a policy that established NDLEA, which is criminalized. Well, we are working on that, but more of the policy that criminalized drug use. Now, they discover over time that it's not working. The more they arrest, they just move from one location. The moment you close this bong, they move to a better location, maybe somewhere secluded. I heard the story somewhere in Surulere was shut down, and they moved to Ikorodu. At that time, Ikorodu was not
Developed.
Yes, not as developed as what we have today. So for years they were making money at Ikorodu. Now at the time Ikorodu is now developed, when you clamp down on them again, they go to somewhere else. So it's not working. What works, like we said, the 3 pillars.
yes.
Now the pragmatic and humane approach will be work with other organizations.
Okay.
Get these guys out. Get them to where they can get access rehabilitation. And then we now have help coming in different forms. We have chill out centers, we have rehab centers, there are prayer houses that they're trying their best to give help to those who do not have help.
Yeah.
And this is doing a great job by training and empowering all these cadre of caregivers
Yes.
so that they can have a uniform treatment and therapy. Now last year we worked on a document where we will have a minimum package of treatment and care for people who have drug use disorder. So, and that has also been approved. So there's a standard for that now. You don't just say you are going into rehabilitation and you actually have a chill out center and
So
not
it's
follow
better
certain.
regulated by
Now there's regulation.
All right.
Now NDLEA is also working on their policy to stop arresting, because funny enough, you have a law. If you are caught with drugs, and you are a seller of drugs, if you're a user and a seller, you have the same sentence.
Okay.
So what are they changing about that?
So now we are changing criminalization of drug use.
Okay.
A person that uses drug has problem that needs help. So this campaign came, support, don't punish. And that was what we did 24th of last month. That's Freedom Foundation. We said drug don't discriminate, because it's both the rich, the young, male and female, old and young, that do drugs.
Okay.
So why can't we just support them rather than punishing them?
Thank you.
Provide solution.
Let's hold that thought. And Lagos, if you're listening, tell us what you think about that solution. Let us support them rather than punish them.
Punishing them.
You can send your reactions to WhatsApp 0809 444 0981, Twitter at Smooth981FM. Use the hashtag Lagos Talks 981, and on YouTube we're streaming live. You can use the live chat option. We'll go on a break, and when we come back we'll be wrapping up this conversation and hopefully touching on what the government can do better, how you and I can also work to support the fight against drug abuse in Nigeria.
We use
Sorry?
we no longer use fight now, we use intervention.
Okay, thanks
Okay,
a lot for that.
Let's
So changing the intervene. Why not? Why did you change the word from fight? I'll say it on it.
It's not fight, because it's not a person
Is it
that
part
uses,
of decriminalizing?
yes, a person that is on drugs has problem, medical problem that needs help. So he's not to look at it like we are fighting him.
Yeah.
He's powerless. And then again, there are two categories of drug users.
Yeah.
We have those who take drugs to perpetrate evil.
Yes, we need to talk about that.
That's
Please.
different from people who are addicted.
So please, let's talk about.
No, there's space. I was just wondering why the WhatsApp.
Okay, I think some are coming in.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, we can see it on the thing. Usually, when we have Lagos talks, people don't call us because they're actually listening. And if it's a very sobering talk like that, they just want to be informed. Like, even I have been so enlightened by what you were saying. So, people don't want to ask, they will just so.
Like I was just telling them, I was telling her last week that we can come and do training for the staff.
Okay.
So let's just know what works.
Okay.
Really, there's need to do this training. There's a way around it that
Do you do your trainings in schools as well?
yes, we have in-school program, we have out-of-school program, we have workplace program.
Do you take volunteers?
Yes,
Okay.
I
think you should talk
was
about that,
almost saying it that when you talked about the bunk thing, that probably you follow us to one of our outreaches.
I won't mind when we talk about debunking them.
Mhm.
When we talk about the fight and you say about this intervention, that's the debunking. So please bring it in.
No problem.
So when I talk, I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to correct myself on air and say that, oh, I was told that it's no longer fight, it's intervention because we're focusing on support rather than criminalizing.
Yes.
So, would you read a few
I like the new
comments?
approach.
Yeah, me too. Has that been adopted by the government?
Yes. That's why government is now working on the NDLEA policy. Now they now have a rehab center to facility.
Please just mention that because I
It's
want to also
important,
talk about the
because,
government. Thank you so much. This has been really enlightening.
Let's see. We have facility volunteers.
Yeah. So
what
anybody that wants to volunteer. And can I talk about they can watch more of our activities on YouTube?
Yes, so that will be at the end. I'll tell you. So final words.
Okay.
So that's your final word. That's where you can talk about the foundation and what people should look forward to. We have only a few minutes, so we'll ask a lot of questions so that you have enough time
To get it up.
to get it out.
Can I write something?
Yeah, you can write here.
What is this one saying?
Hi, this is Femi.
Hi, my name is Judith Sekumi.
This is Smooth.
98.1.
Love music.
It's your Love Music, Love Life station, and because we love life, we thought it was important to have a focus on drug abuse in Nigeria for a Lagos Talk special here on Smooth 98.1. I'm Ayo Mairo Ese.
And I'm Kylie Baker.
And joining us for this conversation, we have Olusesan Osatimehin, who is the Advocacy Coordinator at Freedom Foundation. We've had a robust conversation this morning around drug abuse in Nigeria. And just before the break, I was talking about we collectively fighting against drug abuse, and I was corrected by Olusesan, who said we're changing that narrative. We said also, about the fact that we're no longer looking at criminalizing drug abuse, but supporting drug addicts. And so the word or the
Drug
lingua
users.
has changed from fight to intervention. So we're intervening and we're hoping to support. So let's talk a little bit more about that intervention and how we are changing this narrative, this thinking that drug users should be looked at as criminals and not as victims or as people who need help.
I was somewhere to talk the other day to some people, and I asked this question that if a former drug user should come to your office and is applying for a job, would you give him a job? And they looked at me and said no, because you can go back. Okay, if the former drug user decides to marry your daughter, will you? I mean, one said emphatically never. Then I flipped the coin. So if the former drug user were to be your own child, I said no, now we can always, there's always a second chance. So that is why we are changing the narrative. Drug users are not bad people, but we've always labeled them
As bad people.
as bad people. Now, there's difference between a person who do drugs to perpetrate evil
Okay.
and an individual who do drugs at the joint or in his house. When you see true drug users or people who are dependent on drugs, they don't even have the strength to fight because they have taken the drugs, they are high, they are just at one corner there and flowing in that euphoria of drug.
Mm.
He's not going to go to the next place to steal except when he's jonesing and he needs to fix.
I was
So
gonna
he
say
goes outside, beg people for money. If there's opportunity to steal, he will do that because of the drug. And remember, addiction is a chronic relapsing brain disorder. So it's not the person in charge, but the drug in charge. So they will do anything. I was saying the other time to some people that I think you should follow us to some of these joints sometimes. So you understand when we talk about drug users and then people who do drugs to perpetrate evil, they are not the same.
All right.
So
Thank
now
you for that clarification.
that's why we are just we want to decriminalize.
We'll take some comments to wrap up and then just have final words because our time is fast spent. But thank you so much. It's been such an enlightening conversation. We hope you found it enlightening as well, Lagos, and for everyone who's listening. Emeka here says people do drugs more in a country of depressed economy and lack of social and other support welfare. Drugs become a way to escape depression but later ends in suicide. And then that Ishan boy raises some concerns here. He says that interesting topic for discussion, but I am surprised that with all the noise about the bad effects of drug abuse, peddlers, buyers, and users abound in Lekki Phase 1. And funny enough, you see policemen patronizing them. That's according to
That Asian boy.
yeah, that Ishambo. He says Lekki is a den of a million leases that need help. The funnier part of it is that illiterates peddle while the children of elites buy. This is a disturbing situation that may go out of hand if not looked into. I pity them because I wonder what will become of these if nothing is done. A program should be encouraged for them. But I tried putting up something some time ago, but politics will not let it see the light of day. Final comment here. So I think we'll just leave final comments to you because of our time.
Okay, I think one thing that I would tell every Nigerian to do is one, be informed about the issue of drugs, because if you're not informed, you will make the wrong choice. One, as parents, you need to be informed. You need to know the lifestyle of your children. You need to know their character. You need to know their strengths and weaknesses, so they will not go into drugs.
Okay.
That's one thing. Be informed as a caregiver that is struggling with someone who has drug use disorder. Be informed as a professional so you know when your colleague at work is struggling with drugs. So we need all to be informed. The other one is you be a voice, be a factor, and be a force.
All right.
How can people reach out to you? And also, do you take volunteers?
Yes, we take volunteers. So you can go to our website, www.freedomfoundationng.org. Go to the volunteer section and fill the form. And then you can also put a phone call through. There's a website, there's
so
a
they
phone
can
number
get
there.
information.
So
How about
they
your
get from
social
there.
media handles?
Yeah, you can also reach us at freedom_FDN. That's our Instagram and Twitter handle.
Okay.
And then Freedom Foundation Nigeria for Facebook. So these are platforms you can see us, and you can also go to our YouTube channel, My Lagos Diaries.
Okay, so My Lagos Diaries to watch. So for those who are asking about Lizzie's video,
Yes,
you can go to My Lagos Diaries to watch and other videos about other drug users that are being rehabilitated and reintegrated. Thank you so much, Olusesan. Olusesan Osatimehin has been speaking to us from Freedom Foundation. He's the advocacy coordinator there. And that's all for our Lagos Talk special for today. We hope it's been enlightening, we hope it's been informative, and we hope it will spur you to action as well. I'm Ayo Mairo Ese.
I'm Kennedy Baker. Stay close to your radio for great programming all through the rest of the day, and see you guys soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so